This morning, I heard a very interesting case. Name calling and anger lead to so many divorces. In today's case, hurtful and destructive arguments were the issues this couple brought into divorce court.
Divorce court is now in session.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Ms. Crudup and Mr. Pelley, you two have been married 1 year. You do not want to be married anymore. Ms. Crudup, you say Mr. Pelley has an extraordinary anger management problem and that you would like some transitional support so you can leave. So why don't you start out, Mrs. Crudup, and tell me a little bit about your relationship and how you got together.
Me and Danny met back in 2011. We stayed at a local hotel with each other. We were next door partners. When I first met him, he needed someone to braid his hair, so I started braiding his hair. Thought his eyes was cute. I loved his physique. We hung out with each other every single day, 24 hours.
And how long did you hang out with each other before you became a couple?
We had relations and became a couple in 2012 on my birthday.
Oh, okay. Now, Mr. Pelley, did she get it right so far?
Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part,
I mean,
okay.
I don't think it really happened that fast, but, you know, like, she was seeing other people, you know, and I was kind of pursuing it, and it kind of dragged out before, you know, we
Well,
actually
she said it was about a year.
Yeah, I guess.
It was a year later.
Yeah, okay. You say your husband was way different before you got married than he is now. In what way is he different?
He's different because in the beginning he was loving, he was kind, he never said anything derogatory towards me. When he actually moved into an apartment that we shared, he always paid the bills, so I found a sort of stability in him. And then at that point he never called me any sort of names, never did any eruption or anger in front of our children or anything.
So you saw no temper whatsoever?
I did see some temper now. When some of his relatives moved in, I seen some anger that he directed towards them. Like if his home wasn't clean, he would be cursing them out, but he still never yelled anything at
Never
me.
yelled in your direction?
Never.
Okay. Mr. Pelley, again, is that accurate?
I get upset with people, but it's not just like me getting angry with you, you don't do something. If I go and work 12 hours a day and I come home and people that's living in my house for free ain't cleaning, of course I'm going to say something.
You're going to say something.
And
Now,
if you don't like it, that's not my fault.
And I'm with you. Is your level of anger appropriate for the trouble that you have? You know, is it a little bitty problem, a whole lot of anger, or?
See, I think people get intimidated with my voice. I get obnoxious, but it's not like super intimidating or threatening. You know, I say a lot of B words or...
You curse?
I curse a lot, you know, so...
And do you raise your voice?
I raise my voice, but it's not because it's not excessive.
It's not threatening?
I don't go over and beyond.
You don't go over and beyond. Have you ever seen him go over and beyond before you married him?
Yes.
Stop lying.
Give me an example.
Before we were married, I had a relative over, and Danny had got off of work, and he was coming in from a long day at work. And he seen that relative, and he's like, oh my gosh, you're always here. So he started calling that relative names. So an altercation broke out. Danny ended up going to a hospital to get stitches, and he felt as if I should have defended him more. And I told him, no, you guys have your own friendship. That's between you guys. You guys know each other just like as long as you knew me, and you shouldn't have called that relative those names.
But...
That's an example.
Mr. Pelley, what's your version of that event?
You know, how it originally started, on my way home from work, I get some text messages or whatnot, talking about some stuff's going to happen in my car and stuff. I had a real nice truck on rims and stuff. And so when I get there, I walk in the house and I'm just mugging her. I don't say nothing. She calls me curse words. So I'm like, hey, bum this, bum that, you know. She didn't like what I had to say. So when I turned around, she hit me over the head with a glass bottle. Do you see right here? I got a scar right here. It was like inches away from my eye socket.
How
and
is
she
it that
just
he went
there.
over the top when he's the one that got popped in the head and had to go to the hospital? How do you see that as an anger management problem on his behalf?
Because I felt that he was disrespectful. And I felt that he should have came in and simply said, can you leave, like, nicely?
But that's not my place. If that's your family, that's your job. That's not my job.
And ask me to.
I shouldn't have to. as your wife, you're supposed to honor me as your husband.
But even let's say she failed. You shouldn't have had to ask, but you should have. Why didn't you just ask? Say, hey, baby, could you tell her to get out of here because she's getting on my last nerve.
I have plenty of times, Your Honor, and she don't listen to me. It's just that honor thing, and that's what all my anger stems back from. And then the fact of when she hits me over my head, you're just gonna sit there.
Y'all, your anger looks like your side of the family, not him.
I told him to call the police on her, make a report.
And I did, and she wouldn't tell the police what happened.
You mean to tell me somebody bopped your man upside his head and you wouldn't tell the police what happened?
No, I didn't want to speak to them. I just stayed in the house with the children and locked the door.
Oh, well, now that was just wrong. 9 ways from Sunday, that's wrong. That's your man, you stand up for him. Police get called, you tell them what the story is. He got injured, he got assaulted.
Well, how I looked at it is this was a new relationship, and this is a relative that has been all my life. And I didn't want to get in the middle of it.
You know, sometimes what is required of a woman is to stand up in a circumstance where you have 2 competing interests and conduct your business so that those competing interests can be both served and taken care of without anybody going to the hospital or jail.
Yeah, that's
You know
true.
what I mean? And you chose not to do that. You chose to be actively inactive. You know what I mean? It just, you can't do that. To be a woman, you have to sometimes take sides and show up and act like you got some sense.
I just know she ain't even wearing her ring. Why ain't she wearing her ring? I still wear my ring. Why ain't you wearing your ring? Where's your ring at?
Divorce isn't easy. If you need help with your breakup, call toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or visit our website at divorcecourt.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Divorce Court. Mr. Pelley, you say that your wife withholds sex from you as punishment. Why don't you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I work long hours, 12 hours a day. I go in, I provide for my kids and her 3 kids that is outside of our relationship and her. And it's like, you know, at the beginning it used to be good and plentiful, and now it's just like, hey, I come home and I have a task list, you know? I get off of work and it's, hey, I literally on our wall in our living room, I have a list with things she writes down that I got to do when I get home. And if I don't do them and stuff, she uses sex against it. Like, oh, you ain't getting none tonight. If you don't do the dishes, you ain't getting it tonight. If you don't help me with my homework, you ain't getting it tonight. And she uses it over my head. And then like the whole honor thing. Look, I just know she ain't even wearing her ring. Why ain't she wearing her ring? I still wear my ring. Why ain't you wearing your ring? Where's your ring at?
Mrs. Crudup, do you play him that close and he don't get all the check marks off the list? He gets no love?
No, that's not true.
Stop lying.
I feel that every morning he wakes up at 5 a.m. B, where's my cigarettes at? Where's my pee at? My utensils at? I'm like, Danny, it's right there. He doesn't apologize. He just goes back to sleep. Every time he approaches me with anything, it's disrespectful. I get called all the names in the book.
So
and
you
I
don't
feel
tell
that
me.
Mr. Pelley, please.
I feel that I shouldn't have to give him sex every single day when I'm tormented with the words that he says to me.
Do you understand what she just explained to you?
Yeah, but at the same time, you wouldn't be tormented with words if you did your part as a woman.
Well,
I do my part as a man. Do your part as a
That's why I
woman.
feel he's sexist.
Explain that to me. What is she failing to do as a woman that she should be doing?
I shouldn't work 12 hours a day and come home. You're with the kids. Make sure the dang house stays clean.
How many kids do you have?
We have 5 altogether.
And what's the youngest one?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Ooh.
We just had a newborn baby. And at that time I had my baby, the house wasn't clean. You're fat, lazy, this, that, and the other. I'm like, I just had a baby. How am I fat? Like, he just depresses me with all these different things. I'm trying to build myself as a woman, and he sabotages it.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Mr. Pelley. I understand that you get distraught by certain things. Some of them I think are legitimate, some of them maybe not, but you get distraught by things. When you say manly, does that include a sense of responsibility and respect and dignity not to call the woman that you love out of her name, to curse at her and all that. Do you believe that that is, in fact, a manly thing to do, or is that a failure of manhood to express your displeasure in such an unfortunate manner?
I don't agree with it, and I hate doing it, but it's like, how else can I express it, you know? If I break stuff, she calls the police on me. I mean, she even calls the police on me if I cuss. If I call her a B word or anything,
Don't cuss and don't break things.
That's all you have to do.
How am I supposed to express myself? It's like...
You know what? The English language is a beautiful thing. There's like 99 words for just about every thought that you want to have, and you can express those words, and you can sit down and have a conversation. You can say, hey, baby, here are my concerns. I've worked these 12 hours, and this is what I would like. Do you think that we can work this out?
Yes.
Those are the kinds of conversations that get you the results that you want. They really are.
I have, Your Honor.
My main issue is...
But the thing is...
You asked me why I'm not wearing my ring today. I'm not doing this anymore. When I leave back to Seattle, you're going to stop this or we're not. I want a divorce, and I want the spousal support because when he first came in, he started, paying all the bills. I had a stability in him, and I feel that he should help me do that until I can be able to get on my feet.
Do you feel the distress that she has with the manner that you deal with her? Whether or not you're right or wrong about the specific issues, do you understand how detrimental that is, not only to her as a person, but to your children, especially the daughters? Did you punch the car?
I did. After she broke out my van window.
Do you think Danny's angry outbursts broke up this marriage? Vote now. Call 855-70-DIVORCE. Make your vote count. Call 855-70-DIVORCE and get your exclusive offers. If you would like your case to be heard on divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Divorce Court. So do you feel that, the level of her distress? And do you think that that's natural?
No, I don't think it's natural. I do think I got a little bit of an anger problem. I don't think it's right for me to do it.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of an anger problem. Mrs. Crudup bought some photos that she says is demonstrative of the level of anger that you display.
This is our truck that we share together.
How'd that happen?
Both of our names. Danny gets mad and starts punching it over a simple phone call. I could be talking to my children's father. We're talking on the phone, discussing our parenting plan, and he's mad that I won't get off the phone.
So he goes after the car.
So he goes after the car.
Did you punch the car?
I did. After she broke out my van window.
No. Did you break out his van window?
You better stop lying. Give her a lie detector test right now.
Yeah, you did. Look at you smiling.
Hey,
no.
I went to
you did break out his window.
No.
Your Honor, I was trying to avoid a situation of arguing and fighting, so I said I'm leaving. Right? And we go to drive out. She comes running out the house. Where's my $5? Where's my $5? I said, I ain't even got no money. She said, what? And I'm driving down. We're on a cul-de-sac. I'm driving out the end, and all I hear is, psh,
no.
Window everywhere. So I get out the car, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. And my first thing is, I don't want to destroy my stuff. I pay for that truck.
I gotcha.
I did not break out his car window.
She's lying to your face.
Lie. Danny.
And this was like that before we even moved in the house.
Mr. Pelley. This is a courtroom.
I'm sorry.
No one ever tells me the same story. Somebody's always lying. Please trust me. I get what's going on here. I know how to run things.
Okay,
you need to know how to run yourself.
I'm sorry.
You need to. What is that?
Banging on the door because I locked myself in the room and I'll call the police on him.
Okay, so you want me to give you $1,800 for transitional support. Why don't you explain to me why, and then we'll talk about what our situation is in its entirety.
I feel that he should pay the car note and help out with rent because he got me used to this lifestyle. He's always came in and paid bills, and I work, but not enough to cover all of them until I graduate next month. Then I'll be able to.
Mr. Pelley, what is your response to her request for
She need to go back to that
$1,800?
lifestyle. She ain't gonna be with me. You got to go back. I'm not supporting nobody. Look, if we leave, I'm the one that has to move out and go and find a new house and a new car. She gets to keep it all. So why should I have to go find all this stuff and pay you? If you can't blame me for introducing somebody to a lifestyle. You need to go back to that lifestyle. I shouldn't have to support you. Period.
You do have a baby together, don't you?
I didn't say nothing about supporting my baby. That's different.
Yeah.
I mean, shouldn't I get transitional support since she would keep the house and I would have to move out? So shouldn't I get the $1,800?
That's not, let me explain to you why it doesn't work that way. There's always a whole lot going on in divorce court that people want to talk about. If you have something you want to say, join us on Twitter @Divorce Court, or jump on our Facebook page and see what everybody's talking about on there. Sometimes you people get heated. Don't miss it. I rarely say this, but I am so very happy that the two of you are getting divorced. You are a combustible union, and it can serve no good for your children to be raised in the atmosphere that you've got going on here. May I say this to you, Mrs. Crudup? I think you hail from a disassembled community. From the bits and pieces of the picture I got of your family, wherever you come from is high volume, high anger, high agitation, not unknown to police, not unknown to assault, and that is a very difficult, distressful life, not only for your children, but for him. And I think that when you bring that disassembly into your home, it is very distressing to a person who is not himself disassembled. You've got to say, when you marry somebody, this is your dude, this is your cat, and whatever thing you got going on with your girls, with your friends, and all that, and hanging out all day and doing all that kind of stuff, that's got to be put to the side, and he has to get put first. And I don't think you did that, and I think that very legitimately added to his level of anger. I'm going to say that to you. And I'm going to also say this to you. As you leave him, please try also to leave that disassembled lifestyle. I'm so glad that you're in school. Get a job, get it together, but don't hang. You know what I mean by hanging? Because people who hang have a 40 or two. People are hang, ain't got nothing to do.
Yeah.
People are hang, make mistakes and do bad. Not good business. You learn, you live, you raise children, you marry, but you don't hang. And I feel your anger on that, Mr. Pelley. Here's what I have to say to you. In order to be a man and be the leader, which I think you believe you should be, you have to do so with a sense of strength and capacity to control yourself. If you are not in control of yourself, you cannot control the situation. You do have an anger problem. You have a serious anger problem. You've demonstrated it in here when I've shown you no disrespect, and you have come up and top and over me in a situation where I got on a black robe, a man with a gun, and can take your money from you, and you still could not control yourself. If I were you, I would take whatever time, money, and attitude you have and do something about that anger. Because your daughters are, is it a little girl that you have together?
6 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
Please don't let her live that. Please don't let her live it when she knows that the man that his father can call her mother a B and a H. Don't let her live that, because she will live the life that you've given your wife. You don't want to see her with self-esteem that's just this big because the man in her life hollers at her and calls her names and gets angry with her and calls her more, because that's exactly, she'll go out and marry a guy just like you. And you don't want that for her, do you?
No.
Okay, let me tell you how transitional support works. When two people are together in a household, one person is bringing in money, the other person is supporting the house as far as domestically, and there is a separation. The person who is doing so domestically has absolutely no means by which to either continue to pay rent, continue to pay for diapers, continue to pay for food. They need a jump start. And that jump start is going to be $1,800 in favor of Mrs. Crudup. I wish you both the best of luck. As you know, in divorce court, I get a lot about anger, and I think a lot of people don't understand what anger really is. People don't get angry. Angry gets you. It hijacks your brain, it stops you from thinking, and makes you do all kinds of things that you don't want to do. Anger is nothing but fear and frustration all dressed up to look like power, but it's really not power at all.